Hey Juliet.
Hey, Sammy.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Yeah, here we are
Good.
again.
Here we are again. Timer is poised. So what is it we're talking about today? And then we shall dive straight in.
Yeah, well, accountability seems to be the topic du jour with many of our clients, and the other day we were just chatting and going, well, what does it actually mean? Like, what is this whole obsession with accountability?
Mm,
What's going on here? I thought it might be useful to unpack it a little bit in conversation
yeah.
together.
Lovely
Um,
stuff. So as ever, we've got our 7.5 minutes. So I'll start the timer and we'll dive into that.
Great.
And we're off.
Okay.
Um, so why don't we start there? Why don't we start? Is there an obvious answer to this? What do we believe accountability is?
Yeah. So technically, I guess there's a difference between responsibility and accountability. So in organisations, normally talk about responsibilities as an aspect of your role. There's an expectation that you look after this or that,
Yeah.
and then accountability is taking ownership of delivering it. So I make sure it gets done. I step up and deliver my objectives.
Yeah.
And So I think that's it can be a useful distinction. But what we're experiencing is a lot of leadership teams saying, "I need more accountability in my organisation," and so that makes us question, well, why are you in a situation where there is low accountability, and
Yeah.
how do we generate accountability? So for me, that the description of accountability was someone going, "Oh, I'm going to deliver my objectives. I'm going to put the energy and effort and attention and focus into doing it and apply myself." Cannot be requested or commanded. It comes from within somebody and their source of motivation, maybe their sense of agency, that in this organization, I feel like it's okay to grab hold of this and go for it. It feels meaningful. I want to.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I understand the impact if I don't, and I'm motivated by the risk if I don't. What could happen if I don't get my arms around this, or if I don't. Um, so yeah, I think for me, where we often see it sort of either show up or be lacking, is, or maybe this is a contributor to it being absent, is people's sense of what they're in control of.
Mm,
I think when we talk about taking accountability, sometimes, I mean, that phrase rolls off the tongue: take accountability for your actions and for
mm,
your behaviors.
mm,
And I think often in organizations, there can be a lack of people even recognizing that they are in control of, or they are making choices about their actions and their behaviors. And so therefore there's a bit of a kind of, well, it's not my fault, or that person drives me crazy, so it's, if they were different, then I could be different.
yeah.
And there's a real distinct lack of accountability of, well, you can't change that person. You do have choices about how and who you are.
Mm,
I think that's often what we're seeing, is both a lack of accountability around the tasks that get done, that technical description that you gave right at the beginning, but also just around how we are with one another.
mm,
And people sort of feeling like the how we are is much more up for grabs. We can be however we want to be if the job gets done,
mm,
and then missing that we're accountable in that regard too. Does that make
mm.
sense?
Yeah. So tasks and behaviors and
Yeah.
mindsets in the moment. So somebody who isn't accountable then is somebody who doesn't feel agency or take accountability for how they show up, for example, in a meeting.
Yeah.
Um, and And so I'm still left with the question of, and why might they be that way? What are the conditions that are either enabling or preventing accountability? And I think, so in that sense, accountability emerges from a complex set of conditions
Yeah.
rather than just one thing. So there's
Yeah,
no simple
absolutely.
fix. Sorry.
No, but there are probably a few knowable ingredients, I would say.
Yes.
There's probably lots that isn't, but I think the one that we often see absent, and I think is a big factor, is clarity of expectation.
Mm.
I think we often see organisations that are demanding accountability of each other without really knowing what it would look like to be accountable, because we haven't really agreed what success or, great behaviours or whatever looks like.
Yeah.
So we're sort of demanding something and hoping the other people know what the end result will look like.
Yeah. Making assumptions that there's a
Yeah.
shared understanding. Yeah.
And I think the other thing that we see a lot is a fear of having the tough conversations,
Mm.
which stops us holding each other and ourselves accountable.
Mm.
And that can happen for loads of reasons, right? It literally might be that I don't know how you're going to react, and that worries me. It might be that actually I don't want to have a conversation about your performance because, in my heart of hearts, I know that we weren't very clear on my expectations.
Yeah.
And so to hold you accountable is going to trip us both up. So let's just kind of keep what, mooching on. The other one that we see a lot, and we were in conversation recently with an organisation who sort of described themselves as being really family-like, and then being weighed down with bureaucracy. And I think we've seen that in a fair few clients, and it feels like that's we've got such a great working relationship. I don't want to risk our friendship by having a tough conversation about accountability or trying to get clarity around expectation. So I'm going to introduce loads of process and hope that process does that bit rather than me as a manager or a leader.
Yeah.
And of course, then to your point earlier, well, neither of us feel particular ownership about this because we've outsourced our accountability and ownership to a process that we hope will just make that happen, like a
Sort it
performance
out for
management
us.
system,
Yeah.
or
An HR
or
team.
an HRT, or even just a shared software that we're using to tick off what it is we're up to. Like we're negating the importance of having a conversation that says, Juliet, you said you were on so and so. How's that going?
Yes. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
that conversation is so important, isn't it?
Yeah. Or, manager, I'd really like to run with this project, but I don't feel like I have the permission or the authority to do that. How can we create that?
Yeah. So that level of delegation is kind of mismatched as well.
Or I don't feel you trust me to take accountability.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Oh, there's our timer. So we've dipped into it a little bit there, I think, really nicely into so what is it? It's not the same as responsibility. And it probably sits closer to ownership. But to your point, it's not on paper ownership. It's a deep sense of this is my thing.
Yeah.
And I think, our point around, so what are we in control of? Expectations feel really important. What else stood out for you in that conversation, or do you think is important that we don't miss?
Yeah, I think we're naming the conditions for accountability, and it's a feeling of being trusted and feeling safe to put myself out there to go for this objective, which hopefully will be stretching. So there's so many different conditions that mean somebody will take accountability.
Yes.
And so a useful word if we understand the complexity behind it.
Yeah. I think if I can borrow another 10 seconds, because this does feel important, that's just sort of come up for me. And we talked about it a little bit, but relationship is so important in this. So either being in relationship with myself, like I'm going to hold myself accountable to this thing, but I'm putting a contract in place with myself to say I'm going to, an agreement, absolutely. And with colleagues, I'm going to contract with you. So if I don't feel like there is a contract in place or a relationship in place, an agreement in place, well, then you can't hold me accountable,
No.
even when you try to,
Yeah.
because I will
Or if it's
resist
not
that.
explicit, because back to your
Yeah.
point about assumptions, it has to be explicit. And we
Yeah.
could go on. We haven't even talked about
Yes.
parental leadership and how that diminishes accountability, but maybe we'll do that.
Yeah,
in
we should
another one.
definitely do another 7.5 minutes on parental leadership.
So-
My goodness. Awesome. Well, thank you. That was fun. And hopefully is useful to some of those people that are going, where's the accountability? And they might have just noticed, oh yeah, we
Bit of
haven't put
food
that
for
in
thought.
place, or we haven't done that. Yeah. Lovely. Right.
Thanks,
See you later.
Sammy. Bye.
Bye.